Hello and welcome again to Kroeder Kroghen. Well, this week I shall be giving you the second part of the story of Ioan Chianorth, John of Chianor, with the able assistance of Trev Lawrence again. And also I'm joined in the studio today by Jane Minnis, who is going to talk about Dallas, the Cornish language organisation for children who are learning Cornish and their families. But first, the second part of Ioan Chianorth. At the end of last week, you'll remember that Ioan, or John, had received his 3 point ascians, his 3 points of wisdom. And the first of those points of wisdom, Nara Garjan Vorth Colfragan Vorth knoweth, never leave the old road for the new, had proved to be valuable as his companions on the journey taking the new road were beset by robbers. Now John finds himself finding a lodging house where there is an old man married to a young woman, and he remembers the second point of wisdom that tells him never to stay in such a lodging house. Ioan Chianorth.
Don't know what difference that's going to make, but he's out there in the kitchen. So he went through into the kitchen. There was this here wizened old man sitting down, scrumped up like a edgy boar over a pan of potatoes, and he was peeling the potatoes and yelling, "He's an old man, and she's a young lady." And he said, "I'm sorry, ma'am," he says, "but I cannot stay in your house." "Oh," she said, "I'm sorry about that," she said, "but there's one place next door." So he went next door, and everything was just right there. Nice couple, and he got this year old dwelling overnight. Only trouble was, he was a little bit disturbed by the light shining through a hole in the wall which went into next door lodging house. He tried to cover it up, but never made a lot of difference. Halfway through the night, all of a sudden he heard this here talking going on next door. So being curious as he was, he pulled his jacket up from over the hole in the wall and poked his eye through. And inside was the young lady of the lodging house next door and the local butcher. And they were plotting to kill the young woman's husband. So Ioan thought, "Oh, darn it, what am I going to do here?" So he took out of his pocket, a knife, which he slipped in through the hole in the wall and cut a portion off the cape of the local butcher. Put it into his pocket. Of course, next morning, when everybody found out that the man who had the lodging house that was married to a young lady had been killed, stranger in the village, Ioan got took in by the local police. "Nothing to do with me," he said. "I know who done it." He says, "How come?" He told him the story of what happened last night, and poked his eye through the hole in the wall, and he'd taken a snippet out of the cake for the butcher. Once the police went round to see the butcher,
Mia Willis Gold, Mia Service in Ban, Agatha Tall and Talenty, Hanebu Nana Faderlisi Gunner Binantol, Martezin is a Manabon and Nessa Chiari Gwellisagan Hagar Beru. A Gansena, Ganzo Holland near Drogas Peace Dre and Tall, Misa Gain Gonan Mana, Peace Piron. Hara Guild and Gary Mabel.
Knocked on the door just about, and he heard these voices going on. One woman and one male voice. "Darn it," he said, and he put his ear closer up to the door. One woman voice, and yes, there was a man talking in there. Darn it, he thought. "I've been away earning all this here money that I get back to the farmer," he said, "and she's gone and matched up with another chap." He said, I took his knife out of his pocket again, and he was going to go in, and he thought, "Last point of wisdom that farmer gave me, think twice before striking once." He sat on the door with the butt of his knife, and his young wife answered. "My handsome," she said, "you've come home at last." He said, "Just in time too," he said, "you hear all this here male's voices going on in there." She said, "Ioan," she said, "the night before you went off 3 years ago," she said, "don't you remember how we said goodbye?" He says, "The only male voice in this house," she said, "is your 3-year-old son." "Darn it," she said, "my handsome, and there was me thinking you'd been shacked up with some other chap." "Oh," he said, "that was," he said, "I'm happy as a sandbag," he said, "now." He says, funny you should think of that, he said. The farmer's wife I was working with, she gave me a cake. He says, I feel happy enough now, he said, we'll have a piece of cake. They sat down round the breakfast table, sliced into the cake, and each had a piece of cake, and as the cake was cut, out fell £9 of back pay that the farmer had taken from Johan for his points of wisdom.
Any a Doris in Devon, Haggis says, and no pins in Devon, and Mone a Gaffas, and Barry a Vibris, and even treda in froth na mi ken na tra warren norvis, hagen della ma dueth am drolla a drodeva. My thanks to Trev Lawrence in helping me to tell Nicholas Boson's story, John of Chianor, being 3 points of skians, or the 3 points of wisdom, written between 1660 and 1670 in Penryn. And now to go from an old traditional Cornish story to a group who include telling stories and printing stories for young children as one of their activities. And that's Dallas, the organisation for children and their families. And I'm joined in the studio today by Jane Ninnis. This is Dallas is still in Sosnick, me war a beginning, or the beginning. Ms. Pithy Atchison, what's the purpose of the Dallas organisation?
Well, Dallas as in Gweres Tilu gans aga flayers as in Diski Kernewek. Agin with Gweres Discajorian in Skull. So the idea of Dallas is to support families to teach their children Cornish in the home, but also to help teachers in schools who are running lessons, to provide resources to help them. About 8 or 9 years ago it started.
And you've been doing what sort of thing?
Well, they've prepared various resources for schools, books, computer tape as well, which was very attractive to a lot of children. And last year they produced a video, which has also been very used.
So everything from colouring books right the way up to computer software?
Yes, all sorts of different things, yes.
Yes. How many people are actually actively involved in Dallas then? Is it a large organisation?
It's a very small organisation which tries to do a lot of work. At the moment there are probably only about 15 or 16 very active people, and we would love to hear from more people who are interested in helping.
Ha brasa ranan dusna, you tease gans flehers a war kiesel nevers Kernewek agahonen.
Yeah, Hinigwe, Brasaran, a war Tamaganewek.
Yeah. So they're mostly parents of Cornish-speaking children, or parents who are raising their children to speak some Cornish. Yes, good. Now, I understand that Dallas is undertaking 2 new projects. One is to produce Liver Termin Radfleers for a comic for children, and the other is a video. Can we talk about the comic first? What's in mind for that? Do you know?
Well, the comic is actually from the Welsh comic Spongin. We went to Wales, a group of us last year, and the people that produced Spongin have offered the drawings for us to use, and we will put our own Cornish into it.
Oh, I see. So you'll put the Cornish text in place of the Welsh text.
Yeah.
Yes. That's fairly expensive, I would have thought, in terms of printing and so on.
Yeah, and Henry and Coletta, and we're Martesan, the drawing pins, rack pop, dusky. So it's going to be perhaps £1 a copy, and we'd like to subsidise that so that obviously children can afford it. They won't be able to if it's £1.
No. Perhaps somebody might like to send in some funds to Dallas to help subsidise
that would
to
always
support the language.
That would be very welcome, yes.
Yes. Let's move on then to the video, and what exactly is involved in that project?
Well, they produced a video last year which was just 5 minutes long, and from that experience we would like to produce another one. Something which will appeal to children, and not just a documentary type thing, which has a bit of action in it, set in Cornwall, but easy to film. And if anybody has any ideas, we're very appreciative of them. You're
actually looking for scriptwriters to come up with a full script, or would simply a sort of scenario outline of the script do?
If they start with a scenario, just an outline, and it doesn't matter if they can't write it in Cornish, there's plenty of people that will help with that, but we want somebody with some ideas.
Okay. Mamen din goffos moyen cover Dallas, the buur dalvia the scriffer.
Well, in Kever and video and Gwella Benin a via and Sandercock in the Skerris.
And Sandercock. How he figure you?
Trewin, Lodge Hill, Liscard.
And Sandercock, Trewin, Lodge Hill, Liscard for the video ideas.
And Kever Dallas and Cadorio, Sue Smith, Kraus Hensley, Illigan.
Sue Smith, Kraus Hensley, Illigan, Bridges.
Yep.
And that would get there.
Yeah.
Okay, Gomeras Jane, how do you prove that? Gomeras Cecil Torsomer.
Okay.
That was Jane Ninnis of Dallas. And just one notice reminder of the Cestri Pan-Celtic, the Pan-Celtic song competition. Pebleven Cesedic Kerno and Gol Pan-Celtic in Killarney, a rag diwys can ha canorian, rag bos canadjo Kernewek in Cestri can ena. Every year, a Cornish contingent goes to the Pan-Celtic Festival in Killarney to represent Cornwall in the international competition that I mentioned a couple of programmes ago. And Bleven ma Kinzaran and Cestri, rag Huilas can a gernal, scrivis in Kernewek, a vesinges in Ostrupementen, Rydrus, de Murth and Tridge Warnigans avis Chwefra. The Cornish heat this year will be held on the 23rd of February in the Penfeton Hotel in Rydrus. Anybody interested is most welcome to come along and hear the entries from which the Cornish entry to Killarney will be chosen. Ha hen you all rag an seithan ma, gon ma ras the hui all, o goslois orth if in without her, ha me lever, du gan a hui. God be with you, du gan a hui all.